Hello again. Today I'm going to be working again in my octopus sketchbook on this arm that I have been working on in the last couple of videos. And what I wanted to do next on there, actually let me show you first. When I came back and had a look at it after everything was dry, I noticed that it was very, very yellow. So I got out some of this fluid Quinacridone burnt orange colour and a big spatula, and I dripped and made some marks. Here you can see these kind of leaf shape marks happened by accident. I put some blobs on and then I folded the page together like ink blot printing, and I like how they're similar but not exactly the same. I used the end of the spatula to create these semicircular marks, a bit like we have repeated in the first layer of tissue paper collage, and I added a few more marks up here and here and here and up here as well. So just some random marks just to break up some of that really bright yellow. What I'm planning to do next is use, so I got a little box of golden, it's like a sample box. You get some mediums, you get some different paints, some open, some fluid paints, just some regular heavy body paints, and yeah, various different mediums in there. And in the sample box was this clear tar gel, and Liquitex also do a brand of this type of medium which they call string gel, and I'm planning to use it on my page to resist other paint that will go on top, and it will show the layers beneath, because you can rub the paint off the top because it dries really shiny. Let me put this away. I have used tar gel before, once before, and I've used it through a stencil, or through a couple of stencils, as you can see on here, and put it onto a piece of card. And I use this as a texture plate for my jelly plate for printing. I was trying out all the different mediums to see what sort of texture plates they made and what sort of effects they had. So I might add an interlude in here showing me using this texture plate on the jelly plate as well, so you can see how you can use tar gel in that way as well. But what I want to do first is to create a stencil. So I'm going to use it again with a stencil. I'm going to just create a stencil out of cardstock. And I want to work with a shape that I've been working on in a painting. And it's the shape of the sugar bowl at my parents' house. And you can see that here in the middle, a blind contour sketch that I made. So I'm going to trace round this, including the spoon shape, cut it out of cardstock to use as a stencil. So the shape of the bowl will be where the tar gel gets placed, and then I can place some maybe more opaque colours over the top I'm going to put it in different places on here and just repeat the pattern. I'm quite interested in that and seeing what we get when I paint over it and then wipe the paint off. So again, I'm experimenting. I love sketchbooks for trying things out and trying things I haven't done before. I'm going to get a pencil and I'm going to draw around this to make a stencil next. So that's going to be the shape of my stencil. I did think about whether to cut out some of the bands, the stripes, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this for the first attempt. And I can always see what happens if I add more detail into my stencil at another time. If I start with it big, then I can always do a reduction on it and start with some main shapes and then maybe cut some stripes out later and have them as secondary shapes. I don't know. Which way around do I want it actually? Probably want to cover the back side. So this is a charcoal pencil I'm using for this because I know that the line shows up really well on my when I trace it. So we have the outline of my shape. I'm just going to cut around this. So there we have my little bowl stencil. Come back later and I'll show you how I'm going to use it in my sketchbook. Okay, so I've got my octopus sketchbook laid out. Bit of glassine underneath to help protect the other pages. I've got my stencil that I just cut out. Got my tar gel, and because I'm using this as a stencil, I've got some different sized palette knives and cake bowl scrapery thing. I don't know which one's going to work best on a stencil of this size, so I thought I'd have a few to hand. And I've also got a plastic spoon, which I might use to show you the sort of stringy nature of the tar gel. First though, I'm going to put it just straight on here and through as a stencil. And in case things get incredibly messy, I've got some baby wipes on hand. So I think it's just a case of having a go. And what I'm thinking of doing is just kind of auditioning this stencil over various bits of the page, seeing what I quite like. For example, there maybe. This is quite hard because of the rest of the book. I wonder if I can just do this. Ah, you see, that's so much easier. Never thought about working with it like that before. Brilliant. So I think I'm going to I wanted that bit of green on the edge. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to use my tar gel and I'm going to put a blob in the middle. Probably don't need very much. Right, you can see how the sort of stringy it gets there. Maybe. So, just using my regular palette knife and pushing it up to the edges of the stencil. And it looks like I might need a bit more. I think you can see how shiny it gets on the edge of my stencil here. Probably too much now. Right, so let's see if scrape it into my spoon, the extras. I don't want it to be overly thick, you know, and medium can be quite expensive, so save as much as we can. Right. I think you're going to really struggle to see. I'll see if I can get a photograph later of it kind of in the... You can see if I move this around, the light's catching where it's all shiny. So I've got quite a nice outline when I look. I can see the edge, I can see the edge of the spoon, I can see this edge of the bowl. There's a little dot in the middle that I think I've missed, but we'll see what happens when I paint on that. I'm going to do another one. Now, obviously don't want this to, this side of it to get stuck in where I've already gone. So I'll probably move this over. If I can just move the camera around a little bit to focus over here. So again, I'm just auditioning where I might want the bowl. Maybe over here. What I think I might do this time is try a bit of drizzling with the tar gel. So if I fill my spoon up a bit. We can watch this coming off the spoon. And I'm going to go kind of around the edge of the bowl shape, my stencil. It's a really interesting medium, this. See if I can get some around this top edge. I think if you, it kind of levels out a bit and thickens up as it dries. So I think if you thinned it out a bit, you could use it as a sort of self-leveling gel. I think I might leave it like that. I've kind of got most of the edges covered and some stripes going across, stringy stripes. I've filled in the spoon and it's thicker on this side than it is on this side. So I'll probably take, well actually there's some more coming off here, so maybe I'll just continue to do some stripes with what's left. Push it down with my knife. Okay. So I think I'm going to turn the camera off, and before I pull the stencil up, I'm going to bring it round so you can actually see me holding it. I'll hold it so you can see what's happening over here, and I'll do the reveal. Then I'll wait for these to dry, and then I might do a couple more overlapping the pages, but obviously I have to wait till it's all dry, and it does take quite a long time to dry, I think, especially over here where it's quite thick. Okay. Right, so here you can see the tar gel is quite creamy, white, translucent when it goes on, and you can see over here, maybe if I get the angle right with the lights, that it's already quite transparent and glossy, shiny when it dries. So this isn't dry yet, but that's what this will go like, except it will be a lot thicker. So I wonder what will happen now when we take this off, whether we'll keep the clean lines of the stencil or whether it will spread. It'll be interesting to see. So I'm going to just lift it up now. So there we go. Got an interesting bowl, sugar bowl shape. You can see already here it's spreading. But here we've got quite good definition of the edge. And the spoon over here. So I'm quite interested to see how this one dries and how it turns out. And I'm going to have to be really, really patient, not with myself, not to go and fiddle and poke it with the palette knife and things like that, because I do have a tendency to want to yeah, play a bit more and see what happens. But I'm going to leave it because I want to know how it ends up, how thick it ends up, and how much it spreads. Okay, so I will come back when everything's dry and show you the next stage. Hi, it's been a while since I put the tar gel medium on these octopus sketchbook pages. So you can see this one was put on, it was quite thin. If you can see that's shining there. And then this one was the really thick, where I sort of drizzled it on in the shape. You can see, again, it's shining in the light there. And my plan for finishing off this video about tar gel is that I'm going to put some opaque colour onto the pages over here, maybe bring it all the way down over here. See how much I mix up and whether I'm enjoying the colours. Then I'm going to wipe it off the tar gel, and then I should be ready to post the video for you. So I'm going to use my small gel plate as a palette. The colours I'm going to be using are Alizrin Crimson in the Golden Open, just because that's the only Alizrin Crimson that I have, and Nickel Azo Yellow, and some white, because I want this to be quite a light colour. I've mixed up this really nice colour before using these three paints, so we'll see whether I can get to mix the same colour again today. Spraying a little bit of water on there to mix it all up. Doesn't have to be all perfectly mixed. I think this is quite a nice colour, kind of a portrait pink type of colour. I might add some more white to that as we go to make it a bit lighter in places. Let's just get it on, see what happens. I want it to cover the page folds as well. Kind of not enough variation in there for me. Okay, I'm going to move that to the way. I know what I'm going to do. Just going to use a piece of paper to take off some of the excess paint on this page. And over here as well, maybe just a little bit. Alright. Oh, this is in the way, I'm so sorry about that. Alright, so now the idea is to rub the paint off the char gel. There he is. To reveal the bright colours underneath. problem is, because I scraped quite a lot of that back, that we've lost the definition, possibly also because I've used a light colour. Yeah, well, I'm not sure this is working very well. I might just put some over that and then leave it to dry and then rub it off. See what happens. It's all about experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't. Okay, let's see what happens over here. This has had a bit more time to dry, and the definition of the tar gel is raised more, so it might be easier to just rub the paint off the tar gel. And not off all the rest of the places. Well, this has been slightly more successful. However, I think it might need a more contrasting paint. Or it might also need to dry a bit more before I rub it off the tar gel. Because I'm definitely rubbing out paint from the middle of the in between the tar gel. You can see that there is a bit of paint left in there, but I'm definitely rubbing the paint away in between the tar gel as well as on the tar gel. So I might have another go at that at some point, and if I do, I'll update. And this one I've just completely covered that over again with paint, so I'm just going to leave it to dry and then try and rub the tar gel off, rub the paint off the tar gel Yeah, and that's where we're at. Okay, so since last time I filmed, I put a bit more white paint on top to kind of give the, when I wiped away, a little bit more contrast. And you can see that hopefully, yeah, you can see the tar gel in there with the paint over the top. So I'm going to wipe these both away. I started this one just to see if it would come up, and it has. So I'm just using a wet baby wipe. I'm trying to see where the tar gel is and rub away. So I think we've got some down here. I think now it's dried, it's much more difficult to get off. So actually this one, because it's so thin, it's actually quite difficult to tell where the tar gel is, but I think I'm getting there. I think there was quite a bit of light paint underneath, so I probably should have used a more contrasting colour. But this all adds interest to the page, and this is all about experimenting and learning. So definitely doing that. Yeah, there's not much paint coming off this here, this surface. So I don't know whether that will mean that this one will be tricky to remove. Let's just move that up there and have a go at this one. Yeah. Okay, well, definitely learnt something about the tar gel. If it does stay on and I can't remove it, it's going to add some texture there anyway. Maybe I can come back over with a darker colour and try again. Yeah, it really doesn't want to come off. I left it too long to dry. Must be a balance between it being too wet and too dry. It is coming off a little bit. Oh, there you go. I wonder if I spray the page a little bit. I say a little bit. It's actually really wet. Kind of scratching at it with my fingernail underneath the baby wipe now. not sure how interesting this is going to be for you to watch me try and reveal all of this colour. So I'm kind of scraping off this paint off the tar gel now. So I might stop there, and if I get it all off, or if I get more off, I shall come back and show some images of where I got to before I got fed up with it. So yeah, interesting experiment. But at least I can finish off this video on tar gel now and upload it, and we can see what happens with the sketchbook next. So see you next time. Thanks for watching. Okay, so after quite a long time of scrubbing, I reckon I've been going for about half an hour, I have got a little bit more detail on the edges of that bowl, and you can see some really nice colours coming through the surface. The surface is really interesting and textured, so even though it was hard work to scrape all that paint off and scrub at it with my baby wipe, I'm quite pleased with it. And then this one, I did manage to, eventually the paint started lifting, and I've got some really nice contrast there, I think. Some nice pinks showing up. If it will focus, there we go. And the lines. It's interesting where the paint's sat in some of these holes. I don't know quite. I guess they must have been in the tar gel, developed while it was drying, because it was quite thick on this side. So yeah, and there it is. Since the last time I filmed, I've learnt a little bit more about tar gel, so I'm going to wrap up this video by just summarising, I guess, my experiments and what I've learned in the process. So what you can see here is kind of what I was trying to do in my sketchbook, but as we saw earlier, it didn't really work in the sketchbook, but it has worked very well on these collage papers. So I took the book pages and I drizzled the tar gel on top of the book pages, and then when it was dry, left the tar gel to dry, just like I did with the sketchbook. And then I came back and I added paint again over the top, just like I did in the sketchbook. And what's happened is when I wiped it away, because the paper is unprimed, so there was no other medium, it was just the paper, the paint has sunk into the paper. But of course, because the tar gel is shiny, I could wipe the tar gel away, revealing the original book page colour underneath. So I think what happened in the sketchbook essentially is that because I'd already used quite a lot of medium and ink on the page before I put the tar gel on, when I wiped the paint away when it was still wet, I wiped all the paint away, because it's quite easy to wipe paint off other mediums as well. And when I left the paint to dry, I think the paint, that might have worked if I'd left the paint to dry and then rubbed it off the tar gel. But I think the paint that I particularly used on that occasion was really thick, heavy body paint. I think perhaps if I'd thinned it down more, it may have come off a little easier. And I think part of that problem of it being too thick was that I wanted some good contrast between the areas that the tar gel would reveal and the areas that of the paint that I was putting on. So I was definitely putting on nice thick opaque paint, whereas here you can see that the paint I've added is probably a bit thinner and also transparent, and this has worked a lot better. So thank you for watching my long video. I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about tar gel. Doing this has certainly helped me understand more about tar gel. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.